What is the difference between public and published interfaces? Kevlin Henney. My name is Chris Athenas. I'm a KMP developer. Tech Support said they're coming out for that. We're going to be. I haven't watched this one yet. I really like Kevlin's takes of all the gurus of architecture. His ones is the best because he's like takes this philosophical viewpoint and really doesn't really talk about code that much. It's more like thinking about how to set up these things together in a technical environment, how to approach problems, how to think about things to consider. So I generally like him. I don't dig on him too much. I don't dig on him hard like I do Uncle Bob. But let's see what he has to say.
So Martin Fowler, he talks about this idea in his refactoring book, which was published, the original refactoring book from Martin was published in 1999. This was published in IEEE Software in his column in the early 2000s, public versus published interfaces.
Okay.
And it's quite a useful idea. The idea of a published interface to something is something that you are making available to people who are effectively outside your immediate control and influence.
You mean like a library?
Okay. So a different department. Here's the
I like some sort of library you're making available, some time library or graphics library or something like that.
stuff we have in my team, and we're able to change that freely. We are all in the same repo, we're all in the same branch, and that's great. And then there's another part of the company that operates differently. But we're working with them, but they are not us. And therefore, whenever we make certain changes, we tend to get very irate people coming towards us. So therefore, maybe we need to not do that. But also, there's this idea of the published interface. The published interface is publish and be damned. You better be supporting it. You better be prepared.
So a library, it's like we're going to make an API available, some sort of thing that you can use. Now, internally, we may be doing all kinds of stuff inside the code behind the API barrier. We should be allowed to change that as much as we want. But the published API, yeah, that's like the all React versions or like the framework, or it's like the control surface and what we're expected to do. How do we make the thing dance to do the dance that we want it to dance? Like, yeah, what buttons we have to press, what keywords do we have to use, what build systems do we need to put together? Yeah, the public API layer should be like KMPs. They made it. It's like they've done such a good job. I'm so impressed with the KM people making that layer as easy as possible. The minimal amount of surface area possible from all these learnings of all these crazy frameworks over the years. They try to make the surface areas very small so we can do one common API that do most of our stuff, but there's a handling the exceptions. We can go that easily jumped out of that too, which is awesome.
To support it, but to make a difference. Now, our languages typically don't have these as a construct. It looks exactly the same. If I look at, if I go...
I mean, a language is kind of an API for accessing the machine. So, I mean...
Java, then a public interface looks like any other public interface. If I'm in C++, this header file looks like any other header file. If this becomes a social convention is what I'm saying here. You can...
Right, there's an internal inside the project, publicly exposed stuff internally to the project, but okay, I guess people got confused with this, thinking like when you're booking a library, everything that's publicly available is the same thing as the published API. That's silly. Come on, let's keep going.
You can rely on this. I can support it. This is ours. This is separate. And we can change it freely. And we may be able to enforce that in various ways. Don't treat interfaces as published unless they are. In other words, allow yourself the ability to...
Was that a thing? I guess we had a Wild West period with the C++T saying C++ will fix everything. Now in case like it's not objects, it's freaking messages. But it's like nope, we got this. It's objects. It's like, wait a second, it's objects and classes and hierarchies, and we're gonna share and repeat code. And it's like no. So it's like whatever's public, you could just use it. It's like no, that's not what that meant. Alan K's like this, doing face bombing like this. Like, no, that's not what we meant.
Change stuff freely and radically.
And if you understand why I'm laughing so hard, you can go look at my free course called How to Program from the Ground Up with Minimal BS. I don't got any money. There's no course to be. I'm selling you. It's all free. All I want is a star from GitHub. And yeah, let's keep going.
Needs be within your own.
It's in my thing down there.
Group. In other words, find where the boundary is. Hopefully it's not just around you. Otherwise, in which case you have some code ownership and management issues already. But the idea is, where is that boundary? The boundary where you need to start having meetings or people start complaining when you do certain things. Where is that boundary?
I mean,
within your organization.
That is the question, isn't it? Where is that boundary? Where is it? Isn't that this is an evolutionary process, right? This is a give and take. This is we'll piss you off sometimes, but if you want to get new stuff, we're gonna have to piss you off every once in a while. If you have a public API that you're leaning on and you want to well, could you make it do this? Well, that means we're gonna change it, and you may not like some of the things we have to do to change it. Okay.
Organization, or is it a boundary to another organization or other organizations? But don't treat everything, and this is quite important because sometimes people say, oh, all code is library development and we should treat it all like that. That's kind of a useful metaphor. And I kind of went with that for a number of years.
No, that was a bad take. I understand what they were going for up there, but they had an experience like, oh yeah, all public APIs are available. Just call whatever. It's like, then you try to like version 3 comes out and all the stuff breaks and changes. Like, well, my whole application crashed. I'm stuck at version 2.
And I realized that's actually hampering our development. We're supporting this, and we're putting a lot of effort into stuff that's not giving us any value. So honestly, I should just be able to change it, because the only people who are affected are visible to me in this room or on a Zoom screen.
Right.
That's it. It's just like, no, we can change this. It's our code. Why are we preventing ourselves the softness inherent in software? But then I need to recognize the boundary and go, but that boundary, we've got to respect that. We published it.
Right, and that trick is where's the boundary? How do we change it? How do we modify it? How do we let the people know that it's going to be changing? How do you do that over time with the minimal side effects? That's a real trick. That is taste, the context. What are you doing this for? Who are you doing it for? Who's the customer? Why? What culture are you using? How is this? Are you sure this can be improved? Is there another way you can soften this blow? Like, that's all that stuff. All this human stuff. It's no longer a technical issue. It's more of a human thing.
We realize,
and if you piss people off too much, you'll start like, okay, I gotta get off this train. Like, you guys are messing up too much. You're making too many changes. You're saying this is the way it'll be done from now on. You will never we're locked in. You don't have to worry about this changing. It's like, and then you change it. It's like, okay, well, you can't keep calling what was that little boy called Wolf? You can't do that. People are just like, no. And then another person will go like, we'll do that. Like KMP, like, we'll take you off the upgrade train. You won't have to upgrade all your applications every 2 seconds. We've been working on this a while. Where you can just be solidly, you can lean on it. You don't have to worry about this thing. We're not rug pulling you on your code base.
We want to do something different with it, but we still have to support it. We're going to have a deprecation policy in place, and there's much more effort involved in that. But find where that line is.
Yeah, and there should be some tools built into the operating system to help all this stuff out, because it's a major pain in the dick, and it seems to be like ignored.
So don't publish interfaces inside a team. Publish as little as you can, as late as you can.
Okay.
Do this empirically. Discover what stabilizes.
I mean, it's all kind of empirical anyway. I like Kevin. That was a good one for the most part, and I enjoyed his takes. And give me a like, subscribe. Go give them a like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.